Hello and welcome to LCDC TV. Today is part 2 of the interview we done with John Sitton, ex-football player, football manager, raconteur and everything in between. If you enjoyed episode 1, I think you're really going to love episode 2. Enjoy. You're a cab driver, John, now, yeah? Licensed cabbie, we'll get on to that in a minute.
18 years.
18 years, yeah. Would you, if people come knocking on your door and said, John, this is the club, we need to restructure it, reserve or the youth things, would you be interested? Would you be interested?
Yeah, I would, yeah, of course I would.
Yeah.
Also, because it's all got the waste.
Yeah.
He said it never, when he got the tint at him, he made a bit of a pig's ear of the Valencia thing, right? This is one of our things with regards to English managers or British managers. Don't make it any harder for yourself than it already is, right? And it ain't racist, it's common sense. Because players don't need an excuse, right, to nick half a yard or have a little cheat, right, or to swerve a bit of graft. You understand? So if you've got people in there and there's a language barrier, you've got double trouble. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm driving at?
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, I'd say I definitely would, because it's like he said, Neville, like that's when you're at your most experienced. I mean, I've had like 4 or 5 non-league jobs since I left Leyton Orient, spread over a few years. The last one I resigned, I walked out. Geezer was a crackerjack.
You miss it, John, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, I can tell.
I've been in and around a professional environment since I was 12. I walked into the marble walls of Ivory, trained at the college behind the clock end, on the red bra, indoor facility.
It's all you know, isn't it?
It's all I know.
It's your life, isn't it?
And I got to 37, and I thought I could have had, and I still think I could have a massive input at the FA, because for me the common thread, the common denominator that's been missing has been a change in the syllabus. Recently I got a thing and they're talking about they're placing more accent, more emphasis on well-being and mental wellness and blah.
Yeah.
When you listen and I see players cross themselves and I see players talking to Allah and all that, I'll never forget, it's one of my other favourite things, boxing and martial arts, which I was into when I was a kid, and then I came back to and I got a scholarship when I came out of football because I missed the training. I'll never forget something he said, I think it was Antonio Banderas when he was about to fight Nasser, what's his name? Naz. And he's going on about, Naz is going on about his God is going to help him and da-da-da. And Antonio Banderas said, yeah, when we get in the ring, it'll just be me and him. He said, I'm a Catholic, but when we get in the ring, it'll just be me and him. Sure. You understand? Yeah. So it's something with regards to the point I'm trying to make, concentrating on all this mental wellness and all these little idiosyncrasies and all these little foibles and all these little things, habits that players have. For me, it's always been about the technical information. And with the FA, I made a decision in 1997, there were monitors jobs and you can have an input apart from just staffing courses. So very quickly, I had my badges from the age of 28. And then as you take a badge, I was staffing the level under it. So when I took the full badge, I started to staff courses, and then I was in the first group, the inaugural group in 1997, went to Lilleshall to convert to the UEFA. So then we fast forward, and then they're saying we want monitors jobs, and this was the pay. I think it was like 32k a year. You'll get mileage for your car, or you might get a company car, a bit of dental, a bit of medical, lovely, blinding, nice. Put me in, right? Because I'm surrounded by school teachers, bless them, and Sunday morning managers who are taking their full badge. Never laced a pair of boots on in anger. They leapfrog me and get the jobs. So I said, that's me done. I'm not staffing any more courses. Because it was added to the fact that they wanted me, after 9 years of staffing courses, they wanted me to go to Lilleshall to get a certificate to say that I could staff courses that I'd already been staffing for the previous 9 years. So I said, so you want me to be away with my family for 2 weeks? I'm out of work, so I'll go without me done money. And any jobs that might be about, you want me to take, I said, I'm not doing it.
No.
And these little mob here, they've never laced a pair of boots on in anger. Well, one geezer had a game for Arsenal youth team. or Arsenal reserves, Tommy Yilden. But I said, here's me like 400 odd games. I said, like, and I'm being stepped over. So if you want to talk about pyramids and you want to talk about pecking orders and you want me to listen to claptrap from pundits who have played in the Premier League and record goal scorers who talk grey moribund platitudes, then I go, okay, fair enough. You can have your pyramid as long as I'm part of that pyramid because I've played just as many games.
Exactly.
Not played second fiddle to a teacher. So I walked out. But the core element being, I think the syllabus needs addressing. Because up to a point it's fantastic. But then after that, and I can tell you from experience, it becomes a nonsense. Yeah. They regurgitate stuff you already know about stretching programs and diets and ballistic stretching and this stretching and that, blah, blah, blah. But then I had a row with Jimmy Armfield. You know, all this iron fist and a velvet glove bollocks. He played football when he played for England when it was one up from park football. You understand? That's my opinion. Yeah. And but don't just dismiss me and ridicule me because he says, who do you work for? They know who you are up there. I said, well, I'm out of work. I've just been sacked by Leyton Orient. But I'm having a row with him because we're doing role playing. And I said, what's this? What are we on the fucking set of EastEnders here? They got my pal out, Neil Banfield. He's playing the part of a manager. Sitting opposite Bob Hazel was playing the part of a player. And it's like brainstorming and role play rather than tactics and formations and new drills, right? They're doing role play.
You can't see
the player says, no, it's nonsense.
What's the benefit of it?
What's the benefit? And what's it got to do with me? Because Bob Hazel, he's been given a script. He says, boss, I need to have a chat. All right, come and sit down, right? So him and Neil sit down, and he says, I've got a problem. He said, okay. And he thinks, what can I do to help? He said, well, my girlfriend's pregnant. Oh, okay, lovely. Well, what's wrong with that? Neil goes, what's wrong with that? He said, well, my wife don't know. So obviously the lecture theatre erupts into laughter, right? And he said, all right, I'm sure we can. So Neil's trying to act, and I said to Jimmy, what's this, the fucking set of EastEnders now? And he said, well, I've got another problem and all that. I think I've given her a sexually transmitted disease. So it fucking gaff erupts again. What's this got to do with 4-3-3, 3-4-3, 5-3-2, 3-4-2?
On the Saturday
Of course it don't. No. What a load of nonsense.
You say you've been driving a cab for how long now?
18 years in February it was.
You enjoyed it?
I've loved it, yeah, up until Uber invaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was doing all right.
It was a different job then, a different landscape.
Football went like that to me.
Yeah.
I went out. After August 97, I went up for me talk, and then I got me bill 5 years later because I was a combination of unlucky and stupid, and I had a bit of previous, so they kept me queuing. Yeah. But then at the end of it, Valentine's Day, 2003, I passed out, and I went like that back to football because I was taking more than any lower division manager could even dream of. Yeah. You understand?
Self-employed, do what you want to do.
My own man.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, Grant, right, this is the beauty of it, like Millwall teammate of mine, Paul Roberts, Robbo, he said, like, we're mate with the game. So I said, how so, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, we've got that discipline and that commitment from getting up and training and playing, and training every day.
You get on the bike every day and do the knowledge.
And then when you get the cab, that's what it's about. Yeah. Discipline and commitment.
But it's funny, you know, it's not funny, it's heartbreaking what you said there. It was all right until Uber came along.
Can I just say there's not enough vodka in this?
Where did you get the drinks cabinet in the LCDC chairman's office, did you? Probably. It's vodka actually, John. But it was, the landscape, as cab drivers like us, the landscape just went boom, didn't it? Yeah. And even now, the job ain't the job. No, it's gone from a money job to a wages job.
Well, it's got, listen, at the end of
and wages, when I say wages for like working at Lidl. Because
not even that.
They give you a cab that you have to buy now. Yeah. People say it's a lovely cab, and it is a lovely cab, right? But it's the costs. It's the economics of being a cab driver. Yeah. Where we've seen with Uber, and I used to say at the TFL, you put the cost of our cab up by say 40%, and our work's gone down 40%. Now, anyone with even a GCE in economics would know the longevity of any business where the costs are outweighing what you're earning. It won't be able to go on 6.
Well, it's like the country as a whole. I've always maintained the country is like your household is a microcosm of the country. You basically, like the country and its economy, you've got incoming, you've got outgoing.
Balance the books.
The thing is, Brian, I can't get my head round from day one. It was predicated on a lie. I'll take X amount he says to Boris, because at the time Boris was mayor, the geezer, I can't even pronounce his name, who's left since, at Uber, says, I'll take X amount off of the dole immediately into work. Well, how's that worked out? The universal credit budget in this country is 62 billion, which is bigger than the armed forces and the Met Police and all the police forces. Not to put too far the point, it's a fucking nonsense and a complete contradiction. I'll call them out for what they are, which is a non-tax-paying US corporation sexual assault and rape act. As of January 2019, you've 1.9, you fast forward, sorry, 1.6, you fast forward to now, they owe 2.5 billion in unpaid VAT. How's that good for our economy? They've paid I worked out the equivalent. See, my wife's family, they're big in the property game, but they started up a limited company. I remember the days when it was 24% corporation tax. Then it was reduced to 20, then it was reduced to 19. Uber have paid the equivalent of 1.74%, right? Which is a mega piss take, you understand? And then it's recently come to light about all their shell companies in Holland.
In Holland, yeah.
Yeah, because what they do, they get subsidies from here. If you're,
but has the government allowed it to go on year after year?
Well, you've got alleged corruption, haven't you?
And again, when you look at TfL, the mayor, you and I know with the UJ court case in Bishopsgate, the mayor all of a sudden wants to appeal it, right?
Yeah.
And yet Uber get a licence, TfL refuse to give them a licence, sorry, they go to court.
Yeah.
It goes wonky, they get their licence, and yet the mayor and TfL, even on public safety standards, don't appeal the licence.
Well, I'm watching these tweets.
I used to see, sorry John, I used to see all the tweets from people like Theo Usherwood, who had all the details, he worked for LBC, and it was like in 7 months there'd be like 500,000 complaints, right?
Yeah.
When does TfL and this mayor ever call it out and say, you know what, we do not want a company like Uber in London treating Londoners like this. You know what, you've had your chance, fellas, off you go, right? Yeah. They won't do nothing like that.
More than a chance. He put out 2 tweets yesterday about setting aside 60 million altogether. I think one initiative was 30 million. This is Carl I'm talking about. After his re-election as mayor, what a farce that was. 9 million Londoners, and allegedly between 1.4 and 1.7 million turned out. So there's a clue in the first place.
And the only
pure apathy amongst Londoners with regards to voting, and they all sit there and complain about this, that, and the next, right?
So really, you could say 500,000 people. If it was like 1 million people voted out of 8 million, only 1.2 million voted, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
And he only got it by like 51% or something, right? So really, you'd say 600,000 people actually voted for him in London, and he's in.
Yeah.
Decimating everyone.
The total commitment to voting, I think I worked out 1/7 of our city's population. But picking up the thread on what you're saying now, right? I think the media are scared. I don't think Khan's scared in particular. I just think he's brazen, he's got balls like cantaloupes. I think it's the media that are scared because they're taking on the government. And we know it can be traced way back when to Cameron's regime, who put pressure on Boris Johnson not to cap private eye numbers, which brings me nicely to the next contradiction. Why would you talk about what I call a nonsensical, mythical, non-existent bullshit green issue, which I'll come to, right, when you've got an 86% increase in minicabs clogging up London's roads, right, that have been made smaller, right? So here's the statistics. This is before the recent one. The United Kingdom is responsible for less than 1/5 of 1% of global emissions. 0.18. Yeah. Let me just re-emphasise, less than 1/5 of 1%. London's responsible for 8% of UK's less than 1/5 of 1%. So I've got a septic in the back who's a professor. He says, so we're talking about all the global shit. I'm going on about the septics, I'm going on about the tiddlywinks, I'm going on about the Indians, I'm going on about Canada, I'm going on about
the global conversation.
Australia, global conversation. The EU bloc, do as we say, don't do as we do. The Chinese building coal-fired power stations. India leasing vast swathes of land in the Australian outback to mine thousands of megatons coal a year, to sell to the Chinese, to burn in their coal-fired power stations. It's a clusterfuck. Anyway, so the geezer goes, well, go back to the thing. He goes, go back to the, you know what that is, fella? So I said, what? So he said, well, I'm a mathematician. He said, I'll teach math back in the US. He said, it's 0.004%. London's 8%. Of the UK's less than a fifth of 1% is 0.004%. So what I want to know is, why have we got this hysteria and this pressure on the black cab trade to buy a vehicle that's at least 50% more expensive than the previous vehicle I bought? I've had 2 new cabs. My last cab was 36k. They want me to pay 60k for a cab where you can't even get on and charge it, because you've got mini cabs where it quite clearly states e-taxis only. You've got mini cabs taking juice and making black cabs wait. Right? On top of which, like I said, you've already got the contradiction where there's petrols and hybrids being driven around of an 86% increase in mini cabs on London's roads, causing more congestion. But I don't understand.
Don't you find, like, you're talking statistics, I think I've said it before, I've done an FOI request about a month and a half ago. There's 9,000 diesel cabs and 42,000 diesel mini cabs, right? But when they talk about smog and pollution, they always show black cabs, don't they?
That's right, yeah.
And when you look at that, like you said, with the cost of the vehicle, the hysteria, the world's ending.
Yeah.
When are we ever going to have a grown-up conversation as a country and literally call it out for what it is? Because the media and
I think the media are too scared.
They won't have it, will they?
I think it's well documented. I don't think I'm talking out of turn. If I am, then I'll say allegedly to cover our arse, right? That Osborne's been on a £13,000 a week retainer from BlackRock since way back when, since Boris was mayor.
You had 600 million in Uber, yeah?
Right? Just over half a billion. Yeah, just over half a billion tied up. Just over half a billion tied up in Uber. So that's 650 grand a year drink, gratuity, for lobbying, along with Cameron. We all know his track record now with the Green Seal thing, right? With regards to the lobbying turnout. And then you got the ongoing thing, Boris. I've said I don't mind if people cycle. I'll be honest, I've been driving. I passed my test when I was 17. I've never had a problem with cyclists. But in answer to your last point, right, 2 things. One, the authorities have gone out their way to create a problem with cyclists, right, as in divide and conquer, which they learned from the Romans. 2, more relevant to what you were saying about getting to the crux of the matter, I've always believed that will never happen as a consequence of the fact that they've gone out their way to create an industry. If you look at
the whole green lobby,
it's the creation of an industry.
Yeah.
And if you look at David Bellamy, the geezer with a beard and a broken nose, he just said, like, he's quite rightly said that it's a natural phenomenon. Global warming is a natural phenomenon.
Called me quite nuts.
Yeah, that's the
really
one.
Good. Yeah.
Good impression.
I loved him. Yeah,
he was quality, wasn't he? Yeah. But he said it's an arrogant.
And they sacked him.
Yeah, and it's also an arrogant assumption to think that we're solely responsible for all of it. I think, you know what I mean. But anyway, the politics of it are, you've got how many university graduates on in excess of 100 grand a year? The previous head on 617 grand a year. He's number 2 on 308 grand a year. The geezer that walked with a shaven head with a silly man bag, he was on 400 grand a year. There's a clue in the fact that he had to sign a non-disclosure confidentiality agreement, head of taxi and private hire, Mason. Right, he was on the equivalent of 8 grand a week for doing what? What they've done, they've made a small road system smaller, then they've pointed and gone, goodness me, look at the congestion. Congestion
and what pollution it creates.
Congestion equals pollution.
Yeah.
So what they've done, they've created the problem, right, to make it look like they've come up with a solution. Ergo, what I said, the creation of an industry.
And how do you feel, John? I know we've all got our own views. Are you positive about the cab trade going forward, or do you think we need a whole new change?
My views have always been oversimplistic, and I'll call them out for what they are. I turned the fare down once because I was absolutely shattered. I'd done 14 hours, and I think he was an MP. I upped the food chain. Because as I looked in my rearview mirror, I drove away. I'm going to tell the story. He wanted me to take him to Dulwich. This is a true story. May God strike me dead on my grandson, right? I got a call, I got a knock on the door, my missus answered the door at 8 o'clock the following morning. They sent someone round to check insurances on black cabs. So I asked a couple of neighbours, they went, no, we never got a knock. What it was, the geezers made a note of me licence plate.
It's gone upstairs.
It's gone upstairs, yeah.
Bloody hell.
So I'm a little bit, well, what's the word I'm looking for in terms of calling people out?
Sceptical.
Hypocritical.
Okay.
Right? Because I've said the ones that have played the eye game, which I know thing, the ones that have cherry picked, the ones that I've had in the back after 4 people turn them down, Muswell Hill's too far north, Acton's too far west, Stretton's too far south, Canary Wharf's too far east, or Canning Town's too far east. I've ended up taking them, right, to put a little polish the turd like that's perceived by the guy in the back or the woman in the back as the black cab trade, right? You should not turn them down. So I said the ones that played the eye game, cherry picked and refused jobs, they're the ones that have contributed towards the environment we're now in, right? Because
you're right.
And the second thing is I said, and I've took them on and I've had things, scream ups and rows, but I've said what you've got to do is you've got to target the next generation, because I believe it's a generational thing with regards to technology. I argue the fact that just because it's a new idea, it doesn't mean it's better, right? But with regards to technology, everyone's standing there like Ivana Trump, if it's a bird, or Donald if it's a geezer. Look how important I am. I can get a Merc Swan up into the curb because I've got them on an app. It's a generational thing, and we should have targeted and taken the ones who are a bit sloppy drunk.
But we all had our own radio circuits that the drivers owned.
Well,
I mean, we had I'll be honest.
I was going to come to that, because everything they know about Uber, you go back 50, 60 years, dial-a-cab, com-cab, radio taxis. The sad part being, this is just...
We had it all, John, yeah?
Listen, I might be talking out of turn, this is a bit oversimplistic, but the ones, they were started by cab drivers, for cab drivers, but then as soon as they smelt a pound note, they took the pound note, and then what's happened is it's all disintegrated, right?
Minicabs on the circuits.
Right, oversimplistic solution. I've always said if you want to be a cab driver in London, once upon a time, rather than the lawless shithole it's become under Khan, used to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest metropolis on the planet.
Yeah. I
said if you want to be a cab driver, you've got to be a black cab driver. And I've always said, right, I've longed for the days when I was having a scream up to McNamara, who said to me, calm down, you'll have a heart attack. He said, well, like, have you got a job? I said, yeah. I said, but when I get back, I want another job, because I was having a scream up about the amount of touts in Soho. Yeah. Now we've got a problem. You've got 3 pickup points for Uber, who've been illegally applied for hire on Archer Street, Wardour Street and Romney Street, right? So basically, they can use a double yellow line or a double red route as a fucking minicab rank, which is outrageous, right? I read the script and I put it out on Twitter if anyone wants to go back through my thousands and thousands and thousands of tweets, right? I said, has anyone noticed that the Borough of Westminster have pulled all the wardens? Because you know as well as I do, if you dropped a customer off, let's say Greek Street, and then you were doing something like reaching down for a sandwich.
They're on your shoulder, aren't they?
They're on your shoulder, ready to put a thing on, ready to put a ticket on the screen. All right, Gov, I'm going. Right? Now there's no wardens, and you've got Uber using free roads as glorified minicab ranks. But my oversimplistic thing was, Grant, very quickly, I'm going to tie it up. I said you're better off having, the fleet used to be 22k, right?
50,000 black cabs.
I said you're better off having 40,000 black cabs.
Yeah.
Back to the day when I was a youth, minicabs would only ever service the suburbs. To increase the number from 22 to 40, you give all the suburban drivers a chance to convert. If not, you're on your own. You can compete with the minicabs because we're pushing them out to the borders where they used to be.
But again, John,
the edge of the M25.
But again, if you're a suburban
driver... but I'm addressing the green issue as well.
Oh, okay. If you're a suburban driver and the only vehicle you can buy is an LEVC or rent a garage, they've all got rid of all their old cabs, so they're going, yeah, you can have that, that's 300 a week. I'm really worried that the suburban's just going to be outpriced and they collapse.
Yeah, well, they already are. On my way home, one of my routes home is Tottenham Hale and Black Horse Road. They already are at Tottenham Hale. You could cab 4 or 5 black cabs on the rank at Tottenham Hale, and you'll see 30 minicabs congregate because they've stuck an office there, right? So here's the point being: if you want a big, beautiful present with a big pink bow and address 2 situations. You've got a law-abiding, tax-paying, qualified black cab driver, right? Because we've been told it's gone down from 22,000 to 13,600. But let's deal with the old numbers. You had 22,000 black cab drivers a qualified topographical knowledge of London black cab driver, fully insured black cab driver, safety,
DBS,
not the DBS, not the 200 and odd sexual assaults, 80 recorded sexual assaults, 80 recorded rapes inside 18 months by Uber.
100% wheelchair accessible vehicle.
All of that.
Right? We don't want to be inclusive now, don't we? Transport.
You had up from 60 odd K to 116,000 minicabs. So you say to the minicabs, I don't care if there's 300,000 of you, you're not coming inside the M25. And you give them strategic points, roughly a circle, the M25, 360 degrees. You give them strategic points, 10 every 36 degrees, and that's your manner, and you work it. Inside London, this is the beauty of it, right? So it's all wrapped up in a lovely big bow for all these muppets who are, how dare you, and all this fucking bullshit. I'm listening to this kid, right? Shame on them for using a 14-year-old autistic kid to push their agenda. Disgraceful, disgusting. Because what does she know? You understand? She's got to be attacking the economies that are causing global warming, not the UK and not London. We've got no industry anymore. So where's the smoke coming from? Right, but listen,
yeah, go on.
40,000 black cabs, all qualified, all insured, all know where they're going, all safe, all wheelchair accessible. The 116,000, so let's play with the numbers. We'll round it, let's round it down to 115, right? You ostracise them to the edge of the M25, right? Straight away, you've got a net 75,000 vehicles off of central London's roads.
There'd be no gridlock traffic.
Yeah.
It'd be easy.
Knowing that the only reason there's gridlock traffic is because of LTNs, illegal LTNs, brilliant, the working class people the other day, majority black in Croydon having a scream up last night on the news, right? Illegal LTNs and a small road system made smaller because of a 1% cycling minority. People go, no, it's 3%. I go, no, do your own work. Because the other 2% lobby from outside of London. Yeah. To add to the 1%.
When they had,
they've had $1 billion. What people don't realise on this, they've had £1 billion grown, £1 billion spent on them for cycle lanes, cycles. What people don't realise watching this, pre-COVID, if you count the bailouts for Crossrail, right? You wouldn't get away with it. He wouldn't. I wouldn't. You wouldn't get away with running a business like TfL. They were 5.56 billion in the red before COVID. Now you add the 6.3 billion bailout because of COVID, then you add the 1.9 billion a year up until 2030, you're knocking on the door of £30 billion down to the UK taxpayer.
But people voted him in.
They voted him in.
And tell me, TfL are bankrupt, like you just said, beyond belief.
It's a bankrupt company.
But then Khan borrows £1 million to appeal the situation of the UTAG case to stop cabs going up and down the road.
Up down Bishopsgate. Yeah.
It's madness. Yeah. It's madness, utter madness.
Of course it's madness, and people need to know this. This is what I think the media
well, this is what's great about it. We are having a voice of common sense that they want to suppress. Talking about common sense, John.
It left me at Orient, but
we've asked for some questions, right?
Okay, yeah.
From your followers on Twitter and elsewhere on social media.
I'm not up there with Rio, 250,000, but listen, my listeners, male and female, are the governors.
Exactly.
They've got humour.
You don't want them. You want your.
No, but they exchange views. We talk everything: politics, football. I've got blinding followers.
Lovely. Well, one of them said, "Listen, who was or is the best England manager we never had?"
We never had. Off the top of my head, straight away. I'll contradict everything people said about Brian Clough. I'll say it's Malcolm Allison. I'll say he's the godfather of coaching in this country, and he would have brought to the table what I call the 3 Ps for a football team. He'd have brought pride, passion and personality. And we know he was a little bit of a geezer.
Loved the bird.
Jack the lad, loved the bird. Loved the lardy, loved a bottle of champagne. What's the matter with that? Right, but more importantly, listen.
You need more on that, actually.
No, listen. More importantly, he was the godfather, in my opinion. I've had rows with Alan Hudson about it because he'd given him a fuck off tablet. But when he tried to go over there when they was on a tour or something in the West Indies or whatever, I don't know. I just said, "Nah, I don't agree. You don't know what you're talking about." And he come. I remember he come over very quickly. Summer of it was late '75, coming up the '76 season. And then I'm playing the Middlesex v Berkshire. It's me, Paul Miller centre backs, Tony Gell right back, Lev de Bruyne left back, Jerry Murphy centre midfield, Paul Goddard up front. Big Merc pulls into the car park while we're warming up. Who the fuck is this? I've never seen the Merc. Right? Who's this? Like something out of Sopranos, right? He pulls in, Ollie Warren gets out, Les Ricketts gets out, who was a scout for Fulham. He took Gowley to Fulham in the end, but then he jumped on the bandwagon at Palace. Then they open the door, this geezer gets out, he looked the absolute bollocks, big lardy on. He come bowling round, it's Malcolm Allison. I'd only ever seen him on the telly, like the '74 World Cup, having a puff while he's doing the panel. He's a panel. He comes straight up to me.
He's a character.
Oh, he said, my dad's standing with the Chelsea chief scout. He just walked away. He's gone, Mr. Sitton, let me introduce myself. My name's Malcolm. My dad said, yeah, I know who you are. He said, listen, I've heard some great things about your boy. He said, I want to sign him to Palace. This is the plan, he said. Just say, big lardy, this is the plan. I'm looking up and I said, what's he doing talking to my old man? You know what I mean? We're going to get all the best kids in the country, particularly London, but we've got a few from Wales. He said, we're going to build them up. He said, we're going to coach them and train them up. I've got a blinding little coach coming up behind me called Terry Venables.
Oh, wow.
He said,
Vince Allaire, all that, was it that
that
time?
was my age group. That was the mob.
Yeah.
Jerry Murphy ended up going now.
That's right.
You got Vinny Lear, like Billy Gilbert, you had the world Peter Nicholas. That was my age.
They had a great kit, the white kit with the stripe.
He said, I was going to offer you £4,000. He turned on it like that. He said, no, now I've seen your boy play, so I'd like to increase the offer to £6,000 if he signs apprentice for us.
No.
Yeah. He said, all right, well, I'll talk to me boy and I'll let you know. Yeah, so in the game on the way home, on the game I should say, in the car.
Lively, weren't it?
Yeah, the old man, he said, like, and I said, no, I'm happy where I am, Dad, at Chelsea. He went, what? Give you what? He said £6,000. This is 1975. They bought a fucking house for £6,000. You know what I mean? I went, no, I'm happy where I am. You know what I mean? It's one of them. If only I was known then what I know now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all. So I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, my humble opinion, Malcolm Allison, the godfather of coaching in this country.
On Twitter, one of your followers wants some, have some, says, have you still got the hubcaps that he give you in a petrol station in Chingford?
Oh, the geezer, yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I have, yeah. They're still on the. Yeah. He said, what are you doing? I said, like, I can't afford it. I said, they keep nicking me caps. I said, I said, I got stopped by the Transport Office Command Unit the other day at St Pancras. He went, hold on a minute. He went to the boot and he gave me 4 wheel caps.
So he's got your.
I've still got them.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you think we play too much football professionally? All the cups, the leagues, this, that and the other. Do you think players are burnt out? I think we push them too hard. Physically.
I think it's looking that way this season, latter day, because of how the season got broke up. But my answer would be, there's times when I did feel fatigued, and he became England doctor. I went up to Dr. Ian Beasley at Leyton Orient and I said, like, I've trained non-stop now for 14 months because I was coming back from a ruptured Achilles. Yeah, I'll show you. Beautiful Mars bar there, look.
Look at that, look.
No. I said, I need a tonic to liven me up. And he said, when I'm feeling a bit down, he said, what I'll do, he said, I eat loads of bags of crisps. And he
was proper medical advice.
Yeah, he went on to be England doctor. So the answer I'm going to give you, Grant, is no. Because if you're dishing me out 100, 120, 150, in some cases we're talking now, Pogba, 400 grand a week, which is a monthly lottery win, I'd say bring it on. I'll get
as long as you rest in between.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, when they were saying that they give it out the steward's inquiry about the kid I sacked at half time. Charlie Chan's on the Tuesday, Hollywood's on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Monday, Romford Dogs, Wednesday night, Romford Dogs, Friday night, Romford Dogs.
He was burning.
Tuesday night, Walthamstow, Thursday night, Walthamstow, Saturday night, Walthamstow. So, and they wonder why I give them the tin tap.
No good. Right, Scotty boys in the Clerkenwell Green Cafe said, how would you have reacted to Sergio Aguero's panic and miss? You know, he could have wrapped the title up, didn't he?
Yeah, like Pep.
Yeah.
Like Pep. He's turned around, he's had to scream up in Spanish, hasn't he? But like, I'm cockney, I'd have gone, what the fuck does he think he's doing? Because I ain't being funny, if you're going to try the Panenka, you've got to score. Otherwise you just mug yourself off.
Yeah.
Is it the Panenka they call it?
No, they do the funny one where it dips over.
Yeah, that's what it's called, when they do the feint, so the goalkeeper, he picks a side, doesn't he? He dives early doors and they do the dink down the middle. Yeah, if you're going to do it, you've got to score.
Yeah.
It'd have been Argentinian beef. I'd have shredded him.
But you're like me, you watch football, I guess, on the telly and stuff. Do you think football in the UK now is at a top level? Do you think we are the best league in the world,
No.
John? No?
No, bits of it are. Bits of it are magnificent. Bits of it are absolutely magnificent, outstanding, sensational. It's like I said to Mourinho, it's a form of art. And then he done an interview a few days later and he said, well, people say this and he said, we're involved in an art here. So he might have nicked a little bit of what I said. So that, you come up and you think, hey, like, you're deluded, but I promise you, it was said. And I think it's a form of art. And there's bits of it though, where I would agree with a little bit more old school. May rest in peace, he said it just before a thing on his documentary, Jack Charlton said it, George used to say it. And I was a great believer and I got castigated for it. You've got to build from the back, you've got to have a foundation, and I think the defensive side is just as important as the flair, imagination and fantasy forward side. You understand? So you've got to get the balance right.
Yeah.
You understand? I was like coated off because I was trying to build from the back. They said, oh, we need forwards. I said, no, we need forwards. I've earmarked 4 forwards. 2 from Arsenal, 2 from non-league, which is the market you're dealing with. George said you can have him on loan, but him I want to cut all ties. Paul Shaw. Paul Reed and Paul Shaw. Paul Shaw went to Millwall for 100 grand. Then the other 2 went on to be top scorers in the lower divisions for the next 5-6 seasons. Leo Fortune West and Sean Devine. Yeah, but I happen to believe that half of it's brilliant and half of it, then I look at some of the defending, it's laughable. I thought about losing 4 stone and making a comeback.
Well, on your dietary needs, John, I think we're gonna wrap this up. But I've got to say, I know everyone watching this is gonna love it, right? An amazing conversation.
So.
You've got so many stories. I wish the pubs was open. I'd say when we finish there, we'll go and have one. But I'd just like to say thanks ever so much for giving your time up.
No.
If you want to follow John on Twitter,
at the Real Six.
At the Real Six, and you got your book.
Yeah, that's www.therealsix.co.uk.
Fantastic.
Or my email address, Louisa Sitton at tiscali.co.uk. There's still a few copies. If not, you can get it off of Amazon. So again, I'm being a bit hypocritical because they're another massive non-tax-paying US corporation. I've just done myself in the neck, haven't I?
John, thank you very much.
You're welcome, mate.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Well, there you go. Part 2 of John Sitton, footballer, football manager, raconteur. What can I say? I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And if you enjoyed it, who knows? We might get John back in again. Thanks for watching. And if you like, don't forget, press the like button, press the subscribe button, and also leave a comment. What's your opinion of John? If you've got any questions for him if he comes back in, I'll leave it up to you. But thanks for watching.